Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. My name is Matt Hinsley, and I'm Executive Director of Austin Classical Guitar, and I'm one of the founding authors of GuitarCurriculum.com. I'm super excited to be with you tonight, and super excited to talk about the new GuitarCurriculum.com. I say new because last Friday evening at 10 p.m. we went live with a new site. Looks a little bit different and has a couple of new features we're going to be talking about tonight. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about those new features, but also just a little bit about the site in general. It's something that we have been working on for, 16 years now here in Austin, and working with many partners, many hands, and many hearts and minds on this project. And so it's a big resource, and there are many things inside. And one of the things that has become clear to me over the years is that even teachers who have been using the resource for a long time in their classrooms sometimes aren't using all of the resource. There's some tricks in there always to discover. So if you're new to the resource completely, or if you have been using it a little bit, I hope this talk will be interesting to you. I should say that if you're a subscriber to GuitarCurriculum.com and you're watching this at our forum, you can put questions into our forum if you're logged in, and we'll be looking at those tonight, and I'll be speaking to those a bit. If you're not a subscriber, that's no problem at all. You can follow the dialog box to our YouTube page and put comments into the YouTube page, and we'll gladly try to address those if you have some questions there. And if that doesn't work for you, then you can go to GuitarCurriculum.com's Facebook page, and we'll be taking a look. Just comment on our most recent post there at GuitarCurriculum.com, and we'll gladly try to answer those. So I'll get those questions as they come in, if they come in here in the next 30 minutes or so. And I should say I'm going to try to wrap up this talk in about 30 minutes. We'll see if the questions take us longer than that, but we'll try to get this done in about the next 30 minutes. So again, thanks so much again for tuning in, and I hope you find this interesting. GuitarCurriculum.com. The history of this whole website, I'd like to speak to just about 2 or 3 minutes. In 2001, here at Austin Classical Guitar, we received a gift from a donor. It was $6,000, if I recall correctly, to provide free lessons for kids that couldn't otherwise afford them in schools here in Austin. And so that led us to get involved with the one school in town that had a guitar class. And that guitar class was taught by a wonderful, dedicated choir director who enjoyed guitar, played the guitar, and wanted to have a guitar class as well. And so we went to that class and asked if the teacher could identify a few kids that would qualify for our lesson assistance. And we developed some wonderful relationships in that first year. But really quickly it became clear that the choir director was also interested in maybe some help just in the classroom itself, actually running the classroom environment. And so long story short, for the next 3 years we became very involved, not just with individuals in the class, but also helping with the classroom environment. And at the time here in Austin, in that class, and in many other classes around the country, we were really seeing teachers utilizing method book material designed to teach one student at a time to power their classroom teaching. So, every child would have a method book on the stand, and they'd all be playing the same thing in unison. But of course you had kids at different levels at the same time, and so it quickly became a little bit disorganized, and also really didn't have the magic of classroom music making that you get with orchestra or band or choir, when the different parts come together and you kind of have strength in numbers. And so at that time we sort of had to wait until the kids were more advanced before we would be able to access the material that was available in the published realm for Guitar Ensemble. So we were really aware pretty early on that there was some materials that we didn't have that we wished we had for teaching in a smart and sequential way in the classroom environment. But even so, 3 years went by, 2004 rolled around. We had 6 graduates from that particular school that had gone on to college for guitar performance degrees. So kids were getting inspired, but we really still needed a solution. And that was the early development of GuitarCurriculum.com. I personally traveled all around the country. I visited some guitar programs in schools that I had heard were the best programs. And I saw that the best programs around the country that I saw were doing similar things to what we were doing, taking talented teachers with a lot of elbow grease and passion, inspiring their classes, mostly with solo literature, a little bit of ensemble music, and also struggling with that sort of carefully sequenced ensemble literature. Also struggling with some other kind of more mundane challenges, things like fingerings. A lot of the published literature for guitar ensemble doesn't have all of the fingering indications in it. Now, if you're a trio or a quartet or you have a private instructor, then putting fingerings in things is not a problem. If you're an advanced guitarist, then you can do that yourself, or an advanced student, then you can even possibly do that yourself. But when you've got 20 kids in a room or 30 kids in a room, having a little bit more in the way of dynamic indications and fingerings became a game changer for our teachers. So we knew that what we wanted to develop was going to have that stuff in it. The sequence itself also, we took a lot of looks at what that modifications would be necessary to address those tricky bits of guitar development that a talented individual teacher in a studio can address with a student one-on-one very effectively. And I would say perhaps what we identified as the biggest challenges had to do with right hand skills development, height of right wrist, quality of right hand strokes, and whether or not wrists were bent. We saw a lot of classroom guitar programs in those early days with really low wrists, really bent wrists, kind of plinky tone, and not great movement that we trained classical guitar instructors know that you need to have. So we wanted to have a sequence that would really allow teachers, not one-on-one again, but 10, 20 kids in a room at a time, to really develop some solid results in that regard. So I'll talk about that just a little bit more. 2004 to 2008, we spent 4 years developing what would become the first iteration of GuitarCurriculum.com. Originally it was called Music First. We called it Music First because we really wanted to make music first. Even today, our core philosophy of the entire system is expressive, beautiful music making from the very first day. When you play those first step tunes in the curriculum like Blue Magic or Spy Tune, these are designed for students who have never played before to pick up a guitar on the very first day, do a couple of simple things, refine them a little bit, do them together in a smart way, and boom, you've got something that sounds cool, that sounds engaging, that you can ask for dynamic changes, and the kids are behaving like musicians on the very first day with just a few skills learned. And then, of course, we build forward from there. So Music First was the name of the curriculum in 2005, launched online in October of 2008 as GuitarCurriculum.com. And very quickly we had individuals all over the world that were peering in. It was something that I think a lot of people were really looking for. And then we here in Austin in our organization started to have more and more opportunities to help people build programs both here and abroad. I should say that one of the things that we've really learned in this process is that if GuitarCurriculum.com is a big fancy textbook, constantly growing, constantly changing, gives a lot of features inside and abilities to sort and customize. But if it's a sort of a big fancy textbook, that's not enough for success in every classroom. We've realized that our team really spends most of its time helping teachers teach, not just teach the material, but just teach in general, and sharing knowledge within the community of teachers so that we can help our newer teachers, for example, or teachers struggling with a certain population or a certain class or a certain administration, help them learn from other teachers in the network. We're doing a lot more community building, a lot more reaching out. If you're new to GuitarCurriculum.com and you look at the resources a little bit, give us a call. If you have any questions about building programs, talking to your administration, we love to talk to people. We are a nonprofit organization and we exist to do this so that more kids can have better experiences equitably and with plenty of accessibility all around the world. With that little bit of history, we will dive into the actual resource itself. We're very proud of it. As I said, it launched with a new look this past Friday. So Eric Pearson, who's with me, our Director of Curriculum, is running all the tech here tonight. Eric, if you want to go ahead and swivel in a look at the actual website itself, then we'll take a look at it together. So yeah, we've got our new design here. Probably the most important thing about this new design is that in the upper right-hand corner, you've got what they call a hamburger, and that is where all of the menu lives. That's going to follow you no matter where you are on the site and whether or not you're logged into the site. Actually, you'll see all of these options. Of course, if you're not logged in, you won't be able to get very far with any of them, but that hamburger is where all of our nav is now, and that's new. If you've been using the site before, this is a big new feature. But before we get inside the site, let's look a little bit about what's outside. Up on the upper left-hand nav bar across the top, you've got news and forum, which are the places I'd like to start. News is where we put our stories, and we're starting to tell more and more stories all the time. This first one, you see a picture of our student Angelica Campbell, who's now a junior at the University of Texas at Austin, but was a high school student with us, and she actually wrote this article called "Where Are They Now?" And if you check it out, you'll have a lot of fun with it, because it's a beautiful story of 6 graduates from our program and kind of what they're doing now. One fun fact about those kids is that 2 of them actually just accepted jobs teaching guitar for Austin Independent School District. So we met them back in middle school or high school, and now they've since gone to college, become teachers, and now they're back. So that's a nice full circle story for us. And then if you look at the forum, of course, if you're watching this webinar, chances are you accessed it through the forum. We're really excited about the forum, and we're hoping to push a lot of activity toward it. A couple of cool things about this. Of course, the big one is the general discussion. We also do video contests for our subscribers. So from time to time, we'll offer $150 prizes for classes that are playing the best level 1 material or the best elementary performance, or share a performance from the end of school year. And we do a little video contest, so that's fun to keep an eye out for. If you get our guitarcurriculum.com newsletter, then you'll hear about those. And then you have these live web events, which you're tuned into right now. Something else that's really important down below are our announcements, particularly the jobs announcement. So when we hear about jobs, we put them here. And if you are a certified teacher, or you're a teacher who's considering doing an alternative certification, then this is the place to go if you want to learn about jobs that are coming up or coming available. Alternatively, and this happens quite frequently, in fact, it's the example of the very first job there posted from Santa Fe, is that we have people in our network who are seeing guitar expand in their communities, and they want qualified trained guitar teachers to take those jobs. So you can come to us and say, hey, there's a new job coming open in my district at our middle school or local high school, and I would like you to please list that job, and then we will share it that way. So again, back to this issue of the importance not just of the materials in the curriculum itself, but the importance of our community of teachers, especially in the environment of this field, which is a rapidly growing but yet still new and emerging field. This business of having a forum, having a place where serious guitar educators can share knowledge, to share achievements, and to share questions is something that we're really committed to growing. So let's go ahead, Eric, and click up on the Materials tab there at the top, and we'll take a look at the overview of what all is inside the site. So if we look at Materials, you're going to see 12 different areas of information that are within guitarcurriculum.com. So obviously the first one is getting started. That'll give you an overview of kind of what I'm about to do right now. If you look at the teacher manual, which we won't click on, but that's basically a 40-page document that is going to have lots of detail about our sequence. What fingers do we teach first? Why? What do we hope that students will achieve? How are we measuring success? All of those kinds of things really get into the nitty-gritty of the actual curriculum sequence itself. That's all buried into that teacher manual. For a very brief view of it, and we will get into this one a little bit later, are the overview of the 9 levels. So in one place you can see more or less we've got 9 levels in the curriculum. There they are, and I'll be talking about those just a little bit later today. We're really proud of the video tutorials. There's a whole bunch of them now, I don't know, 40 or 50 on the site, And the newest pack of videos that were released, so if you're a curriculum user and you're looking to this talk for the newest things that are available, we have a whole new category of videos that are available called Videos for Students. This is a funny thing which kind of gives away the way in which the site has evolved, but we built this site for teachers. This is not a site for students to go visit directly. This is a student for teachers to go to. So you can see that we've got lots of videos up there about things that teachers can watch. But what we found is that teachers were taking our technical videos and actually beaming them into their classrooms for students to watch, which was fine. The information's okay, but they weren't really designed for students to watch. So now we've got a bunch of videos designed for students to watch, and that's what that category is. They're videos for students specifically. We also are getting a few performance videos of some of the solos on the site, and we'll be talking about those as well. Having said that, the essentials of teaching videos, the technical videos, if you, for example, are a choir director or a band director, and your guitar is not your first instrument, you will really get a lot out of the right-hand technique and left-hand technique videos, because those are not just looking at how to do the technique, but they're also talking about how to teach the technique and what to look for and what to expect from your students. Those things are going to be really great values for you. The last thing I'll say about this is that we try to be diligent in the music library to actually have links on certain landing pages of pieces back to these teaching videos. So if we know that a certain piece is going to have a certain kind of a technical challenge in it, then when you pull up that piece, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute, when you pull up that piece, there will be a link back to the video tutorials section saying, hey, you might want to watch this particular video. So we try to have the different resources in the site talk to each other just a little bit. On the second line on the left, you've got beginning course packets. This is a huge resource. There are many pieces of music in here at all different levels, and you can sort them, and when you get good at using the site, you'll be able to do that, and it'll be second nature to you. But if you're looking for the, okay, Matt, this is all well and good, but what do I teach tomorrow to my beginning class that I've never taught before? Then the beginning course packets is a great place to go, because it basically feels like a textbook. Teach piece 1, turn the page and teach piece 2, turn the page and teach piece 3. So it's a little bit more prescriptive. And we also pull into those beginning course packets the teacher manual material that relates to those levels, and also the theory worksheets and quizzes material that relates to that level. So it's kind of everything you need, a one-stop shop for teaching a beginning class. So that's hopefully pretty helpful for folks. We will spend time in a moment on the music library, so we'll come back to that. We probably won't look deeply at sight reading and music theory, but you can imagine what's in there. We're pretty proud of the sight reading at this point. Always need more, but there's really sight reading at all of the 9 levels, and we're excited about having that available to you. Scales and exercises, again, we probably won't spend a lot of time on it, but it is level-oriented scales and exercises. Solos by level, we will peek at. Again, if you're on this, watching this webinar and you're looking for new materials, as someone who's a veteran user of guitarcurriculum.com, solos are really something to watch. We're generating a lot of new ones. They are on there by level. In fact, Eric, let's go ahead and click on that and just take care of that look right now. Look at this. We don't have solos in level 1, probably for obvious reasons. Kids are just learning to play. You don't have a lot of airtime in your classes when you're dealing with level 1. But level 2 and beyond, we've got solos. Looks like we're a little light on level 3. But if you look at level 4, 5, and 6, you really start to see a lot of solo material coming in there. That's because of a separate Braille-based learning system that we're building right now that is solo piece powered. So we're pulling a lot of those pieces that are being generated into this. They're really good. There's a bunch of new ones. So really advise you, if you're a veteran teacher especially, and you're looking for new materials on curriculum.com, this is a great place to go and find a bunch of new solos by level. Okay, we can head back then to the main materials page then. And let's see what else we've got. Elementary material. We are very proud of, changing a lot. We also have an elementary specialist on the team now named Chris Ortiz. So if you're an elementary teacher needing elementary materials, as a subscriber, you'll have access at the bottom of this page to the elementary primer, and that's got a lot of great stuff that's specifically designed for the younger set. I would say most of our teachers are probably finding the most success at 4th grade and up. So 10 years old and up in the classroom setting, but we've certainly got some notable exceptions, teachers that are doing great work with kids younger than that in a classroom setting. Advocacy and inclusion, I'll blow by that. If you are looking for advocacy materials, that is to say you're trying to pitch a principal or a school district or a teacher in an area on this program, or you're trying to raise money for programs, these are conversations we frequently have, and we would love to help build for you a custom package that will allow you to really tell the story in the best way to the audience that you're going to be talking to. And inclusion is a huge issue for the world and a huge issue for us here. I think it's safe to say that our biggest single solution that we've been really focused on lately is Braille-based learning systems and solutions. GuitarCurriculum.com is available in Braille. If you have a blind or visually impaired student that's a Braille reader in your classes, we can help you with that. We also have a different website that we've built. We launched it last year and it's about to undergo a major enhancement, and that's called letsplayguitar.org, or Let's Play. And that system is a full Braille-based and audio-based classical guitar lessons system. It's super duper cool. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to us through any of our channels and we will gladly take you through it. But it's a little bit off our topic tonight, so we won't spend any more time talking about it right now. We have other inclusion advice as well, though. So if you have any issues with any sorts of cognitive or physical disability, or other kinds of inclusion questions, by all means reach out to us. We love to try and find solutions in those kinds of cases. So with that, let's go ahead and log into the site, Eric, if we're not already logged in, and jump over to the curriculum, the music library itself. Aha! So this is really the big one. If you're new to GuitarCurriculum.com, then this is kind of where the store is, and so what you see here is alphabetical order of pieces that are in our teaching library. The music library is organized as a set of basically three-part pieces or trio pieces, and so every part is going to have guitar 1, guitar 2, and guitar 3. We did that and we limited it to that so that we could power a smart database that I'll talk about in just a minute. But you also see across the top of this display, in addition to title, you also see status, meaning whether or not the piece is new, composer, who wrote it, region, that is, where is it from in the world, the style, is it new, is it old, classical, romantic, etc., Baroque, the overall level, if there is one, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, and then of course you can also listen to many of these. We haven't recorded all of the pieces in the library, partly because there's always new ones getting added, but we've recorded a lot of them, which is super handy because that allows you to listen to the selection and decide whether or not you like it and whether or not you want to teach it to your class. You can also download the audio and give it to your students to listen to as a study guide as well. So every piece in the library, and there's a little over 170 of them now, so that's a lot, is in three parts, and so we've worked pretty hard to make sure that we have a diverse set of regions that the pieces are coming from. We have partner teachers in different parts of the world, like we've had teachers in the UAE, for example. We have a wonderful program in Nepal right now. And so when things like that happen, we go to our partner teachers in those regions and we say, hey, is there popular music in your region, a well-known folk song, for example, that we can arrange and add to our curriculum here so that our kids in other parts of the world can learn a Nepalese folk song, and also your students in Nepal can learn a song that that they will recognize. And so that's been a great way for us really to build out the regions, the styles, and diversify our library. But like I said, there's 170 pieces and they're all trio based. I mentioned that there's 9 levels, and we're going to talk about what those 9 levels are in brief here in a little while. But probably the most exciting single advancement of GuitarCurriculum.com is the fact that we wanted to address multiple levels of students in the same classroom at the same time. And this really goes back to 2004 when we had larger classes and we didn't know what we were doing, and the reality was that we had kids who had never played guitar before in the same room on the first day of class as kids who were in guitar last year. in the same room as kids who had had guitar private lessons since they were 6 years old and were total ringers. So if we had a class like that, that would be a part level 1. So let's choose 1, Eric. And then a part level 2, let's go to level 4. It's reasonable to expect that kids who had guitar for 1 year every day or 5 hours a week in a block schedule probably be starting their second year in level 4 or level 5. So let's say we're looking for level 4, and then for the 3 kids in the room who have had private lessons forever, let's put them up at level 9. Level 9 means they can read in multiple positions on the guitar. They pretty much have the whole package. So 1, 4, and 9, let's apply that search, Eric. And when we do, this system will pull up for us all the pieces that will allow us to work with that individualized group of kids. That's pretty awesome. So let's click on the very first one, which is amusement. I mentioned earlier that once in a while we'll have certain things on the landing page that relate to video tutorials. So if you look at the bottom of this text here, you'll see supplemental video tutorials are written there, and it shows you links specifically to some of those video tutorials that you, if you're a new to guitar teacher, might want to take a peek at or share with your students before teaching this piece or as you teach this piece. So that's just a little throwback to our earlier conversation. But here, if you look at the parts down at the bottom, you'll see that there's actually part 1, and part 1. So 3 iterations of part 1, there's 4 iterations of part 2, and then there's 3 iterations of part 3. But what you see is that those iterations exist in different levels. So we have a part 1 that is a level 8, but we also have a part 1 that's a level 3. So this gives me an opportunity to tell you that our system looks for one level below the level you searched for, as well as the level itself. Sort of like searching for nearby airports when you're buying tickets on a flight. We wanted to do that to maximize the resource and the number of searches, and also it's reasonable to expect that a level 9 kid will be perfectly well challenged by a level 8 piece and still have interesting things to do. So in this particular search, we're going to give our level 9 ringers guitar part 1 level 8. We're going to give our level 4 kids that have guitar last year guitar part 2 level 4. And we're going to give our guitar, our brand new kids, these kids have never touched a guitar before, and we don't want them to feel alienated or out of place in class. We're going to give them guitar part 3 level 1. So let's look at the score itself, Eric, and open that up. And we'll take a look at what this actually looks like. There again is the landing page material, and ooh, you can see a big giant score with a whole lot of stabs. And we're only looking for 1 of each part, by the way. We're not trying to get a kid on every single one of these. We need 1 part 1, 1 part 2, and 1 part 3. That's all we need. So you can see up top, our level 8 really focuses on 5th position reading. So your ringers are going to have a 5th position melodic part. It involves slurs. I mentioned earlier that we are big on fingerings, we're big on dynamics. So these are things that you're not going to have to constantly be asking your kids to pick up a pencil and write in this dynamic or that dynamic, or pick up a pencil and let me figure out what position we're going to play this in, guitar 1s. That's already there for you. Now obviously you're welcome to change it as much as you want, but the point is that, that a lot of that work is done so that you can get to the good stuff, which is making music. Of course, our guitar 2C kids playing part level 4. Level 4 is a level where basically you've got simple techniques and fluent reading in 1st position on all 6 strings. That's a summary of level 4. So you can see that that's happening here. These kids are playing now some internal harmonic stuff, and they're hovering around the 1st position on the guitar because that's what they're supposed to know at that point. And our total beginners at the bottom, our level 1, our anticipation is that kids are going to be able to read simple rhythms on open strings. Now, of course, if you look at the very first note, that's not an open string. So our editor has put in there string 5, fret 3. So that's a help for a total beginner. It will help them practice this at home, and that information is in there. And then the other note that they're reading is indeed an open string. So they can play this part. And even though it's relatively simple and somewhat repetitive here in the first line, you can see that we still are asking the kids to play forte. We're still asking them to play piano. there are rests, and of course dotted quarter notes here in this first line. So even though we're talking about total beginners, we go back to the original core philosophy of the site, which is expressive, beautiful music making from the very first day. You can see that these kids are going to play something they can achieve. They're going to be able to play with other kids in the room, and they're going to be asked, you will ask them as a teacher, you will ask them to refine what they're doing by playing the rhythm faithfully and by playing the dynamics that are written on the page. And so that's how we engage classes at different levels at different times. So let's take a look at maybe another search, Eric. Let's imagine instead of having the class that we described, which was total beginners in a room with last year's kids in the room with ringers, let's assume that we're in a room of last year's kids, which is level 4 again, more of last year's kids, which is level 4. So it's basically the entire room is kids from last year, but the administration in the school has stuck in 3 or 10 or 1 total beginners. So we've got basically part 4, and part 1. This happens all the time in public school settings. Let's apply that search and see what comes up. So what you see here, I don't know how many pieces that is, it's like 10 or 12 pieces or more. This is an entire semester's worth of work. It's different styles, it's from different regions around the world. We could do that same piece, it looks like, by Felix Soretsky if we really wanted to. The amusement would work for this particular grouping as well. So the point is that as a teacher who has a challenging classroom environment with diverse students, you really have a solution here that would allow you to plan an entire semester's worth of activities to take the entire group forward. And you could say, well, you know what, I don't want to be level 4, 4, 1 for the entire semester. Well, fine, do a 5, 5, 2 search and bring in, and decide that halfway through the semester you're going to move forward everybody incrementally through the class. Of course, you're going to have to teach to every individual in the class as you go. But let's go down to a piece by Travis Markham at the bottom, The Yellow Dress. So the very bottom piece here, and see what this is. Travis Markham, by the way, is our Director of Education and has been a partner with me and here at Austin Classical Guitar since 2005. So Travis is a big part of our world here. So if you look at Yellow Dress, what you see is that it's a 3-part piece, 1, 2, 3. There are not multiple iterations of each part, but instead there's a level 3, a level 3, and a level 1. So once again, we have a situation where the system has returned to us a piece where the parts are one level beneath the one that we searched for. We searched for 4, 4, and 1. It's giving us 3, 3, and 1, but hey, that'll work. The piece is awesome, and so let's take a look at what the score looks like. So as we're about to look at this score, I want to mention, because I didn't last time, that all of the parts are available individually as well. So even though you, the teacher, will be looking at this score, or maybe even a bigger score in the case of our pieces with many iterations, your students will not be looking at that, right? Your students will be looking at their individual part. So that's something indeed that's important for you to know. What you see Travis has done here with Yellow Dress, if we look at it less from a levels perspective and more just from a musical perspective, he's got a repeating ostinato bass line for those level 1 kids. There's 1 fretted note. Once again, our editor has written that in. So the expectation for level 1 is that they can read open strings, but if there's a note that's not an open string, then we write it in. There's a lot of helps around that. We've got right-hand fingering, left-hand fingering, string numbers there at the very beginning, but it's a repeating pattern. As you can see at the second system, it's still basically playing the same notes again. So that's going to be really imminently achievable by your level 1 students. And the level 3s, notice they're starting with harmonics. We love harmonics because harmonics are cool. Kids love to play harmonics and they're not that hard to do. So we use a lot of harmonics at the early levels to add color and to add interest. Looking at rehearsal A, you see that there's 4 Gs in a row on string 3 open, 4 As in a row on string 3 fret 2, and then that repeats, so that becomes sort of this humming middle part before the melody comes in on string 1 and the guitar 1's there 2 measures later. So this gives me an opportunity to talk about what level 3 is. Level 3 is where we teach alternation in the right hand. So this is a big deal for some guitar teachers because some guitar teachers love to teach IM alternation out of the gate from the beginning. Lots of systems are built around that. And I will speak a little bit more to our thoughts about sequencing here in a little bit. But what we recommend to get everybody's wrists and hands and strokes in line, and when I say everybody, I mean all 20 kids, we recommend levels 1 and 2 not being IM alternation based, and instead at level 3, which is approximately the second semester of study for most middle school and high school programs that meet regularly throughout the week. So halfway through the year, 4 months or 5 months into study, maybe a little bit less, we are indeed doing IM alternation. So you can see how a piece like this will really help with IM alternation, because among other things, there in Guitar 2, there's no string crossing. Kids are playing repeated notes. There's not a whole lot going on in the left hand. So we can really focus on that IM alternation action and get that ingrained as we're learning to play in level 3. Of course, Guitar 1, 2 measures later, comes in, and there is string crossing, but the notes are going slower. We're playing F sharp, E, crossing over to string 2, playing B, and then playing D. If you don't know what string crossing is, then that's because you must not be a classical guitar player, and that's okay. We've got videos about it, but it has to do with moving your hand across the strings in the right hand so that instead of reaching for strings that are far away from your hand, you move your whole hand down to that string and continue to play within a mid-range of motion in your hand, and that's good guitar technique in the right hand. It's very similar to footwork, for example, in any sport. If you move your body to a certain place, then you can maximally use your technique as opposed to reaching for the ball in a sports environment. So that's what string crossing is. And so if we play multiple notes on a single string, obviously this business of alternating becomes much more manageable, and that's why Yellow Dress is set up like that. So I'm going to stop there. If you've got more questions about how the searches work, the library, the music library, things like that, feel free to pop them into our forum or on our Facebook page, on guitarcurriculum.com Facebook page, or if you're watching on YouTube, then you can put it in the YouTube comments. And if you watch this at a later date, then you can always just reach out to us at a later date. But that's 2 searches that we've done, multiple levels. Obviously, there's plenty of pieces in the curriculum that are just 1 level. If everybody's all beginning, then we have all level 1 pieces or all level 2 pieces or what have you. If you want to teach the entire class, alternation, we have exercises for that, and we have pieces that are all level 3 pieces, and etc. So let me go ahead and clarify a little bit of the levels then. Now that we've seen what some of the music looks like, we'll go back and we'll just look at that overview of the 9 levels. Here we go. Reading open strings, PIM, fixed finger. So I've already talked about the open strings. You can imagine this can be relatively simple left-hand placements, simple rhythms. PIM fixed fingers then, that's the big discussion. More or less, apart from playing bass notes, we stick the thumb, that's P, on string 3, the I, that's index, on string 2, and the M, that's middle, on string 1. We put them there and we leave them there. If there's a note on string 3, we play it with the thumb. If there's a note on string 2, we play it with I. And if there's a note on string 1, we play it with M. And we teach free strokes. For those of you that are guitar teachers, we are talking about then setting up the hand, getting that wrist to be straight, getting that wrist to be arched in just the way that we want it. The fingers aren't going to move. The hand's not going to move around. We're not going to alternate. So that really allows us to focus on quality of stroke. The index finger going through the string, past the thumb, inside the hand, toward the right elbow, at an angle through the string for good tone. All of those things we can really maximally control in this fixed finger environment. And with a lot of inventive pieces, we can do it while making some really beautiful music at the same time. So after about 6 weeks of playing pieces where the right hand is very stable, you warm up every day, getting the kids to make good sound, playing just together, play a few beautiful pieces. We have programs all the time that have concerts with all level 1 music. So it's attractive, fun, beautiful stuff. They're making music, but we are in that PIM fixed finger environment in the right hand. That's the key. Level 2 then actually doesn't change that. Level 2 stays with the thumb on 3, I on 2, and M on 1, and we really get to focus on ingraining it even further, but We add in level 2 fluent note reading on the first 3 strings in first position on the guitar. So we add a few more rhythms, we add some key signatures, we add some more complex melody material. In the left hand gets more active. All of that happens in level 2 while maintaining great controls as far as the right hand setup is concerned, the height of the wrist, the strokes, and the quality of the free strokes. That opens the door for us to do what I was describing earlier in level 3, which is IM alternation and string crossing. We focus that entire level on that, and guess what? We don't add any new notes. So we're still reading only on the first 3 strings, with some bass notes, of course, and we're really focusing pieces like Yellow Dress, where their kids are really learning to alternate IM and string cross and become expert at that. Then when we get to level 4, we add all the bass notes. So by level 4, you're playing some simple chords together. You've got a pretty good bass line of scales and string crossing, and you're reading all the notes fluently in first position on the guitar. Here in Austin alone in our partner programs, we have 4,000 students. Actually, we have more than 4,000 students. All of those students are reading fluently, sitting with a footstool, sitting with a guitar in the right position for a classical guitar technique, and alternating and string crossing by the time they're in level 3. I can say that with confidence, and we can show you video after video after video of our district-wide contests where kids are reading well, playing well, moving well, making good tone, and that's really what we were after. We were after this solution that would allow us to help not one kid play well, but many. The issue with teaching alternation and string crossing as a first lesson is that we see a lot of classrooms, and indeed even this happens with individual lessons unless the teacher makes sure it doesn't happen, which many do, is we see reaching. So when kids are alternating and reaching and playing rest strokes out of the gate, all great stuff to do in a private studio situation, by the way. But in classroom environments, we tend to see a lot of low wrists, bent wrists, reaching, and tension in the right arm. We were very concerned about addressing that because that was a top-level concern, and this approach to these first 4 levels has addressed it in the most beautiful way. So more about that in our video tutorials, or ask us all the questions you want, but that's the rationale behind the first 4 levels of the curriculum. After that, it's pretty straightforward. So basically level 5 is kind of an enhanced level 4. We're not really adding a whole bunch of new notes, but we're adding stuff that goes faster, is a little bit more complicated, has you switching between scales and not arpeggios yet, but scales and chord playing a little bit more fluently. So basically we wanted to take those skills and turn them into combined skills. It's level 6 that we start really talking about extension timing in the right hand and simple arpeggios, PIM, PIMA, arpeggios. We go to complex arpeggios in level 7, so you start to see arpeggios that go up, they go down. We add slurs in the left hand, we add bars in the left hand. This is all something that would happen probably in the 2nd year of study. So if we do the first 4 levels in the first year with a 6th or 7th grade class, you can imagine that a 7th or 8th grade class is going to be doing levels 5, 6, 7, and 8 throughout the course of that 2nd year. We are staying in first position through level 7, and that's what allows us to really develop a lot of fluency. Then in level 8, we add 2nd through 5th position reading. We are so proud of what's happening in level 8, especially in our sight reading materials for level 8. Because there's really a lack of literature in the published realm of music that approaches this in a smart pedagogical way. There's a lot of wonderful music in the published realm that involves these things, but usually not with pedagogy kind of first and foremost in mind. So we're really proud of that. And then level 9 is sort of, no more rules. So any technique, any place on the guitar. I should say at this point that guitarcurriculum.com was never meant as a place for advanced ensembles to get their literature. There's some wonderful music in here. Advanced ensembles play some of this music, but our goal was to get, if we can use the 0 to 60 analogy from cars, our goal with guitarcurriculum.com was to go from 0 to 40. That was really the area that we felt was super underdeveloped, and we really needed a smart way to get from kids, lots of kids who couldn't play at all, never played before, to getting to the point where they really had a great cross-section of skills and fluent reading. At that point, we don't want to create a bunch of advanced repertoire. People do that. Composers are doing that. You know, wonderful resources around the world are creating great literature to play for an advanced ensemble. GuitarCurriculum.com is that teaching solution for kids up until that point. I'd love to, at this point, then mention one other feature on the site, which is our Share Music feature. So if you go to the bottom of our drop-down menu, the very last tab is Share Music. This is another new part of the website. And what this is an opportunity for our subscribers to share the music that they've been creating for their own classes with the rest of our teaching community. And so what we ask people to do is, obviously we can accept trios because this is a trio-based library. What we ask people to do is give us a license, essentially, to create a derivative work. So if you've got something you've made for your classes, you'd like some other people to play it, then send it to us. Our editors look at it, and assuming it passes the test, we'll create a new version for it with your name on it and your credit, throughout, a link to your class environment from the landing page and things like that, just so people know where it came from. And then if our version passes your approval, then we put it on our site, and you essentially give us a license to share it with the rest of the teaching community. We've had some wonderful submissions come in lately. Actually, we've got a new beautiful piece by Mark Moore from Houston, for example, called Taking Turns, which is a level 2 piece. We're already getting great feedback from teachers that have been teaching it already this semester. So Share Music is a wonderful new feature as well. And I think that I'm coming to the end of our materials overview of the site. I would just like to underscore this is a resource. We are a nonprofit organization. We built this really to meet our own needs and pretty quickly realized that lots of other people needed it too. We hope it's helpful for you. We hope you love it. Please contribute to it. If not as a composer, then contribute in our forum. Ask us questions, get involved. If you want to become a subscriber, great. If you don't, great. Please be part of our teaching community as much as you want. We also have teacher training sessions every year in the summertime. We'll be in Albuquerque next summer. We'll be in Austin next summer. We'll announce those in the fall. We might also be back in St. Louis, where we've been every year for the last 5 years, but those dates aren't set yet. Sometimes we go to Cleveland. And if you'd like us to come to your city, then let us know. We also do in-service training. So our team is going and helping other communities around the country pretty frequently. We have international guests that come in and observe. We also have a lot of people come to Austin during the year. They'll spend 2 days, 3 days, a week with us, visiting classrooms, seeing what it looks like. Because we are in an emerging field, a lot of people don't realize how good it can be. A lot of people don't realize that, yes, you can have a system-wide situation in a community where there are thousands of young classical guitar players playing not only beautifully, but reading music fluently and playing with good technique on a consistent basis. We can help you make that happen. We can show it to you in real time. We can share videos of it with your administrators. We can come to your school or community for an in-service day and help in that way as well. So reach out to us. We're here. We're a resource. And thank you so much for joining me all the way to the end of this long 45-minute ramble. And I think we'll call it there.